it's another side that like wants to take more, wants to go that one more round, because like going that one more round when you don't think you can, that's what makes all the difference in your life. You know what I mean?
Hey everyone, welcome to the show. This is one more round of the Rocky Series podcast. Unbeknownst to the listeners, nobody knows the 20 minutes of hell we went through. My StreamYard is down. It doesn't work, so we're recording locally, meaning like I'm using the old OBS system, which we used to do all the time for the show. That was the old school way of doing things. StreamYard, other than today, I've been a member for 2 years. This is the first time I've seen an issue with it, but it's software. It can crash, and just like Twitter crashes, these things crash, right? But
I think this is the equivalent of going back to tough gym to train. We're going old school. Mm-hmm. We don't need the fancy StreamYard. We got to get back to the basics, get back to our
That's
roots.
right. Well, we're going back to basics. The reason why I'm nervous, I'll say this. Remember, okay, so lots happened. The reason why we're delayed too, boy, I feel like there's a lot to talk about. So one reason we're delayed for this, for our recording, we usually do every 2 weeks, is because
Are you recording, Ryan?
Yes.
Just double.
I'm
okay.
recording. I know.
Sorry.
I see the red dot.
Okay.
No, OBS is recording. It's.
Okay.
I know. Now you're making me check. It's recording. We're 1 minute, 20 seconds into recording. The reason why I'm nervous is I actually did a interview I was interviewed for the Tommy Morrison documentary. And it was a really fantastic experience. And unbeknownst to the person interviewing me at the time, his name is Callum, great guy, who's the director of the documentary. I recorded the interview. I wanted to get the raw discussion and everything, okay? So after an hour and a half of talking to him, using OBS to record, I went back to watch the video. Guess what happened? I forgot to unmute my microphone. So the recording was just his talking, not mine.
Oh my God.
Okay. So, but the good news is he wasn't relying on me for the video. So I'm going to send him an email saying, look, dude, because he wanted to actually use my audio. He thought mine would sound better because I recorded locally. And now I got to tell him, look, I'm sorry I messed up. Because I don't use OBS. I haven't used it in 2 years. And I just forgot to unmute the microphone. So I'm seeing now that my microphone levels are coming through. I see the bar moving. So it's picking me up. That's why I'm just nervous now. So, and then we're delayed a week. Because last week when we were supposed to record, at the time of this recording, I had food poisoning. And it was a really horrific experience. I almost recorded with you guys. Like, I got it Saturday. I woke up with this Sunday morning at 1:30 in the morning, puked, went back to sleep, and we record 11 o'clock in the morning my time. I'm like, I think I can do it. And I was right up to when I messaged you. I was like, I can't sit. It was too painful to sit. I wouldn't be able to sit in the chair. So we canceled that due to this. Now we're here, and StreamYard's down. So all these things, but here we are. We're going to go the distance. We're going to do this. Katie and Kyle, how are you guys doing?
Great. I'm glad that you're better. And I can't wait to, when does the doc come out?
Yeah, and that's been asked a few times. I don't know. I think it's sooner than later. I'm one of the, I don't know where I am on interviews, but I'm one of the last. I can't be one of the first. He did a lot of interviews already, the way he was talking to me. They've been working on this for at least a year. It sounds like a bit of time. Documentaries do take time to produce. It was an interesting experience. What I will reveal about the experience was, the documentary is about Tommy, and it does delve into, how should I say this? It delves into whether or not, we know that Tommy Morrison's widow, Trisha, it was his third wife, but that was the individual he was married to before he passed. So she was, of course, the widow to Tommy. She believes and has proof, as far as she is concerned, that he did not have AIDS. And it's actually a very telling, what Callum showed me and talked to me about regarding the evidence that Trisha has, which isn't in my interview that I did with her a few years back, the amount of evidence that Trisha really does have. It actually might be more than I thought. And I asked Callum, I don't think I'm breaking any trust here, because I said to him, well, what do you think? I asked him, is this like a pro? This is why I'm really mad that the audio didn't work. I'm hoping he'll give me the master copy of his end. I'll ask him. But anyways, I just asked him straight out, like, do you feel? And he feels that Tommy did not have AIDS after everything he's seen and experienced. He went into this documentary with just wanted to tell the story of Tommy, but after everything he's seen and experienced throughout the documentary making, he didn't have an agenda, but he now truly feels, with 100% certainty, that Tommy Morrison did not die of AIDS.
Do they have an idea of how he died then? Because he died quite young, obviously.
Yeah, he was in his 40s, I believe, if I remember correctly. Yeah, well, I'll say that for the documentary, Kyle. Because that's going to be revealed in the documentary.
Yeah, I remember when you interviewed Trisha, she was saying that however many years ago.
It was a few years back, 3 to 4 years back when I interviewed her. And again, I'm not breaking any trust here. Trisha was very sweet to me. She basically said that I was the one that got her doing what she's doing because I was the first one to ever interview her. Broke her out of her private shell, so to speak. And she, now, it's funny, when I interviewed her, if you remember, she was really nervous about coming in front of the camera. She was almost mad at me because I didn't know this was going to be on camera, and I don't think there's any video. I can't remember if there's video of her or not, but we did record video, but I think I might have released audio only because she was kind of upset at me that I put her on camera. She thought it was just going to be audio, but now she goes on podcasts. She's totally on camera. She's out in the open. It's fantastic. But she sent me some sweet messages just saying thank you and you're the first one and all this stuff.
Nice.
And that it would be without question that I had to go in the documentary. So I don't know. And Callum also said that when they show this documentary in Toronto, if I'm still here in Ottawa at the time that they show the documentary in Toronto, he wants me to be like a keynote speaker and guest when they premiere the documentary here in Toronto, which is really cool. But I'm like, I don't know what to say. But they were very gracious, very sweet, and he said that I gave him everything that they could have asked for and more. So I don't know how much they're going to use.
Of course you did.
Oh, stop. It was a really neat experience. I've never been interviewed for a documentary. I don't know how much they'll use. It could be 5 seconds. It could be a minute. It's going to be maybe spread throughout. I just shared my feelings on Tommy. I also was kind of diplomatic. I was like, I don't know. I don't know if he died of AIDS or not. Like, I don't have an answer. And came from the approach of, I will have to see this documentary that I'm being interviewed for to see where I land on my feet. You know, even though I interviewed Trisha, I was still not confused, but I was like, it seems like she has a lot of evidence, but the more I listen to Callum's evidence of what they have and stuff, long story short, there is no paperwork on him ever having AIDS. It doesn't exist, is their narrative. So
where did it come from? Is it just some anonymous source reported it?
No.
Yeah,
He was supposed to fight someone, right? And that's why they canceled
so these are all great questions. I can promise. Okay, here's two things. One is going to be the documentary because he told me these answers in the interview, or right after we do this recording, I'm going to message Callum and say, look, dude, can you just send me? Because he said that he sees no reason why I couldn't just release the full interview on the podcast. So there you go. There's the tease. So I'm sure he wouldn't mind uploading the audio, at least just the audio parts of the interview, and I'll upload them to YouTube. I mean, to YouTube and our podcast. So great questions. But we got to get moving. I'm excited. Of course, we'll keep you posted. And of course, Callum said he would come on the podcast to plug the documentary when it's ready to go. So we'll get him on for sure. Okay, Katie, do you have some emails?
I have one email.
Oh, okay. Well, read the one, and I'll send you the second one, please.
Okay. Okay. Hey, Ryan, Katie, and Kyle. Here are some of my thoughts on episode 8. Great mention, Kyle, about the Fury-Usyk fight. It was a split decision, and they're scheduled to have a rematch in October this year. I noticed in the captions that when the reporters asked one of Drago's coaches, Coach Rimsky, about Rocky's punching power, Rimsky doesn't get to answer the question. Koloff interrupts and answers it himself, but the captions still list it as Rimsky. That's right. It's also interesting how Koloff is way more dismissive of Rocky in the press conference compared to earlier when Rocky was the world champ. Is it because Rocky was stripped of the title that Koloff is no longer impressed by Rocky's status? I also noticed a difference between the theatrical and director's cut. In the director's cut, they zoom in more on the photos and clips from newspapers and magazines, as opposed to the wide shot of each front page magazine or newspaper headline. I thought the cut in the director's cut between Drago saying he could speak for himself and Koloff going into his speech was a hard cut and didn't seem to flow in conversation. But given what Sly had to work with in editing, it was probably the best he could do. One thing that's interesting that I hadn't thought of before is that at the press conference, there's an American flag in full display behind the table. I wonder why it was hanging up there. Given the fact that essentially Drago's camp is calling the shots, wouldn't they have not had the flag up there? Just a thought. Keep up the great work as always, Michael.
So Koloff probably knows nothing about boxing. He's a propagandist. He's a handler. He's a government shill or whatever. So he's not really qualified to answer anything about it. I'm sure the coach would have given a more nuanced, more technical response to the question. He did seem more dismissive second time around. And my personal thought on that is because I think they didn't realize how badly Apollo Creed would lose. Like, I don't think they were ever in doubt that Drago would win, but I think Drago won in such convincing fashion to the point where, okay, you guys, sorry, I gotta stop here.
Yeah, Ryan, it just showed recording started.
Yeah, I think I got it. So keep going. Keep going.
Okay.
It's working now, so we're just keep I feel much better now. At least we got this part on. We're recording. Sorry, I just tested it. Okay, keep going, guys.
Like, Drago easily killed Creed in the ring, and I think that imbued Koloff with a lot of confidence. He would have known of the Rocky Creed battles and how Creed was a better fighter than Rocky was. Essentially, it was very competitive at the very least. And it's like, oh, well, our guy easily killed Creed, so of course Rocky wouldn't stand a chance in his mind. I think that's what a lot of people thought too. Plus, I think he was also irritated by the American press, and so he's kind of being antagonistic back. I wouldn't put a lot of stock into what he says if I was there.
Okay, awesome.
Good point.
Michael's always great with his emails. And I kind of feel bad because I think Michael watches us live when we record. And now, unfortunately, he won't get that email until he hears this on the feed. He emails us right after we record.
Okay.
So he listens to us live.
Did he have a second question? I answered the first one, but I thought there was another.
The flag.
Oh, yeah. I wanted to mention that. I think Drago's camp is kind of calling the shots, but I don't think they're in charge of like the venue, stuff like that. Okay. I think whoever's doing that, the Americans want to show that you're in America. Mm-hmm. You guys are real flag people, so it didn't surprise me to see the big flag there.
That's funny. Yeah, I think that could be easily explained, but good points all around. All right, we have one from Baz. Greetings, Ryan, Katie, and Kyle. This email may be a little outdated and may not make sense.
Okay, so I was going to say thank you, Baz. Baz sent me an email, like a few weeks back. Of course, I got delayed with the food poisoning, so this is really taking a long time. This somehow got lost. I don't know, accidentally must have deleted it because he sent me an email that goes, I don't want to be a bother, but I think you missed one of my emails from way ago. So I feel bad, Baz. Thank you so much. Long-time listener of the show, so that's just the preface to why he said that there.
Get it together, Ryan.
I know. I'm a disaster today.
Okay, he says, so this might be, I previously sent it a month ago, but the internet critters got in the way. A better podcast listener would probably edit it. So, hey-o. That's good. I couldn't let the director's cut slide by without an email, given that Sly absolutely cuts to pieces one of my favorite scenes of the whole series. You can't win on the stairs. Mm-hmm. I'm looking forward to hearing your views, but it totally kills the impact of the scene in the director's cut.
Okay, yeah, we're going to get to that today, actually. So that's actually funny enough. It's funny that the email got delayed because it landed on today's recording, funny enough. Yeah.
When life closes a door, God opens a window.
Oh, wow.
Something like that. I don't know.
Something like that you can jump out of, which...
Yeah.
For me, it's the first time in the series that Adrian didn't believe that Rocky couldn't win, as opposed to more fear of him getting injured or Rocky's own doubt. Mm-hmm. I've always found it a really powerful part of the film and one that has inspired me in more difficult times. Plus, I'm sure Katie will agree with this. The sly eyes in that scene led to a man crush. Haha. Oh, God. And then he gets in the car. It's a whole thing.
He looks great. He looks great in this. Yeah.
My next point was in reference to an earlier episode when you discussed Apollo saying, "Do you see anyone asking for an autograph?" To quote you, Ryan, I wonder if this is life imitating art, in that Sly is riding high and his perception is that once it's over, you're a nobody. Move on to Rocky V, and that drop has happened to both Rocky and Sly, and they appear as outcasts.
Interesting perspective. I would only push back a little bit. Don't mistake the bombing of Rocky V to Sly's popularity or fandom. Like, I don't think Sly has ever not been a draw. Meaning, he could still go anywhere in the world and he'd be swarmed by people. His box office clout did diminish in the early 90s. Well, around Rocky V before Cliffhanger and Demolition Man, sure. But the Rocky V's, funny enough, it wasn't actually the least amount of... Balboa made less money at the box office than Rocky V did, to be honest with you. But the point is, Yeah, I know what he's saying, but I think Sly probably still got sworn with autographs, all the same as well. But it could have been a fear that he could have had, for sure.
Yeah, agreed. Then comes Balboa, where Sly has matured and recognizes that fame isn't as black and white as he once thought. Hence the autograph scene. Probably overthinking it.
Probably.
Another observation. What is it with the Stallones and timelines? The Stallone family show timeline appears more messed up than the Rocky films. The family Stallone show.
That's a bold statement.
Probably. Okay.
Yeah. 1 minute, the girls are saying they don't really know Frank. The next, Jennifer is saying how much of a constant he's been. Smells a bit off to me. I fully agree. I think there's a lot of things done for the camera. Yeah.
Right. I kind of tend to believe the girls don't know Frank that well.
Agreed.
But even if he's around, like Jennifer says, he's a constant. It's probably more, I don't know how much the girls would really care to know Frank. So maybe their relationship isn't that great, but sure, in Jennifer's eyes, Frank's always been around because, she's been married to his brother Sly for 2 decades at this point, or 2.5 decades. So Frank's been that kind of constant in Jennifer's life. But as far as the girls are concerned, they're only in their 20s now. And as you know, your first 15 years of life, you're not even thinking about your uncle.
I guess to me, it's like I grew up around my aunts and uncles. I know them. I can have memories of them being around.
Maybe he's just, you're right. There is some discrepancy. I'm not sure what's going on. As always, in the Sly camp, I don't know what's going on ever. I never know.
Like they probably don't know their brother.
Yeah. They do not know Sergey. No.
Yeah. It's weird. Anyway, okay. He says, last but not least, if Luis is in the chat, I just wanted to say you might be busy right now listening to the podcast, but if I could step out from behind this phone and be any other podcast listener, I'd be you. You're all heart. Now go bust this, not Kyle's emails, teeth out. That's great. Good job. Good job,
I
Beth.
love it. I love when our listeners are talking to other listeners through the emails. That's fantastic.
And
using our past stuff that we talk about. Again, it's ironically terrible that we're not live with anyone. Louise is not in the chat because we're not live. We are recording behind the curtain here.
Keep up the good work, Baz. P.S. Slight edit. Kyle recently mentioned a better ending to Rocky V being a fight in the church. Great idea. However, given the location of the street fight, it would make more sense for Rocky to have said something cheesy like, "Let's take it home, Tommy," pointing to Mighty Mix, and for the fight to have occurred there.
Sure. Mighty Mix works too.
Yeah.
I like the idea of the church because that's where
it all began.
The first fight. So it comes full circle and it ends in that ring. But Mix is fine too. It's a ring, but not like the big ring.
No, it's great. Thank you so much, Baz. That's awesome. And we appreciate all the emails. Send us an email. Check the show notes for the email address. Give us a review rating on the good old iTunes and stuff. It's been a while since we've gotten one. They do come in, but give us one, guys. We'll read it out. Here we go. We're going to do directors versus original again. There's just kind of 2 big scenes here where you kind of have to do that. The first one, of course, is the stairs. Katie, the famous stairs sequence. It's another stairs moment in the Rocky franchise. You're the one that pointed that out early in our podcasting days. Of course, Adrian being on the top of the stairs looking down at Rocky, but she's pulling into the driveway. Here's the original cut. We're going to do the original cut first, and here's, of course, Adrian pulling into the driveway of the mansion, the palatial mansion, and what kind of car is that, anyways?
It's like a turbo. It's not a fancy car. It's like a Nissan Turbo or something.
Oh, okay. Of course, the press just yelling at her. We all know the scene. Yeah, Miss Balboa, Rocky. I don't know what you're talking about. A reporter still yells out about, what about Christmas? Like they're really got bent out of shape about this Christmas thing. Oh wait, we lost Katie. You're not on here. I just realized you're not on the video.
Oh,
we don't like you. The other one only allowed 2 people up there. This
I'm like, I think I'm still here.
Here you are. Okay, we'll do it like this.
I'm not going to Russia. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know why you're here. I don't know what your people are doing.
Mrs. Balboa. Mrs. Balboa. They keep yelling on Mrs. Balboa.
The security at the Balboa estate is pretty lacking. They're on her driveway, like near her door.
Yeah.
It's not like she's being mobbed outside of a store she's at. She's downtown or somewhere else, or maybe they're outside the gate of her estate. They're trespassing on her property, swarming her. You would think that someone as high profile as the heavyweight champion of the world with a big estate like that has some security.
Yeah, I know I would if I was worth that kind of money and I had that kind of house. I think having, I probably easily would have, you could hire somebody. 50 grand a year is nothing sauce when you were worth $40 million and all the interest you make. So I'd hire some dude or two dudes, $65,000 each, rotating shifts to have a guy on the property. I just feel much better having somebody just there that can raise an alarm or just be a presence there.
But then we wouldn't have this scene.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
This is just a thing in movies. Also, the cars, they would have a garage. Really, like they wouldn't pull up in front of their house and not have these, especially his car in the driveway, the Lamborghini, like not be covered. There'd be a back entrance from a garage.
Fair. Yeah. Okay. So she goes in. I think some time passes. Rocky comes home and now it's dark out. So
Again, the entrance. Go to the garage, Rocky.
Yeah, fair. So just for the trivia, so people are tracking at home listening, you guys have your answers to the Drago?
Yeah, I did a few things. I don't have a lot of good lines for him.
I don't have a lot either. Again, for listeners, what we're doing for trivia, folks, is I can't remember if we did the assignment on camera or not, or like on the podcast last episode, but the assignment was off camera using the honor system. We'd all three of us write down as many lines from Drago in the movie that he used, and the most wins. It doesn't have to be completely accurate. It's just like we're not going to do like within a word or two. Obviously, like we know what you're saying. Type like, oh yeah, that was a line he said. We'll just treat it like that. However, if it is a tie, then it'll be the person who got the most accurate of whatever line. That would be the tiebreaker because there's a couple lines that he says are a little bit longer than.
Is this worth 1 point or is this 5? Like how? What's this?
It's all. It doesn't. Well, it's all relative. You can make it. It's up to you guys. We can do it like we could do it. We each get a point. We get one right, and then we all get points.
Oh, I don't care. What? Yeah, I don't know. I was just curious how we were going to do it.
I didn't think we were doing points. I just thought we were doing it for fun.
Oh no, this is one of the trivia questions.
Mm-hmm. It's a point.
Is it?
Ultimately, it's just 1 point.
With the trivia, we could all technically get a point if we got the right answer, but in this case, we're competing against each other, so it's a little different.
I don't. The question was, I think it was 10 lines.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, what if we say we get a point if we get 5 or more or something like that?
That's what I'm trying to get at. Is whoever gets the most accurate lines wins the point. That's it.
All right, whatever.
Well, the idea, Kyle. Okay, first and foremost, the idea is to have fun.
Not fun anymore.
What a depressing vacation.
No. What a depressing podcast. Boy, this has been a gong show. Okay, so we'll play the game. We'll decide.
We'll figure it out.
I think Katie's going to win the point anyways. Let's be honest. I didn't even write down 10 things.
I have 9 written down. I could not think of a 10th one.
I only did 6.
So Kyle maybe by default has not won the point, but we'll do it eventually. Okay, Rocky's pulled in with his southpaw plate. What's it?
Southpaw.
Southpaw. Yeah, southpaw.
Southpaw. It's like you have a lift. Like it's a southpaw.
Now we'll break down this original cut. We're going to go to the director's cut right after. But the director's cut is very similar, but there's a huge, like Baz talked about.
Yeah, this is better. The original is better, I think.
Well, yeah, we'll talk. Here we go. The original. Rocky rocks in. I think we're led to believe it's almost past like the kid's bedtime. The house is dark, so it's like bedtime.
She's in her like nightgown.
He just like f***s off and does whatever he feels like, and then
dude, I would be livid if I were Adrian.
If you even like is a guy or a woman booked something like. Say you went on like a 2-day trip without telling your spouse about it. And you do like I'd rather ask forgiveness than permission approach. Like that's a big fight. I'm going to the Soviet Union to fight this guy who just murdered my best friend. And I'm going to be fighting him for free in training in Siberia for weeks. See ya, honey. Like,
oh, and by the way, I could die on Christmas and our kid will watch it.
Yeah, kids will watch me die on Christmas Day.
Yeah, you're right. Adrian, bless her heart. She's a sweetheart.
Mm-hmm.
Patience of an angel. My wife would kill me.
But let's be fair. Adrian doesn't work and lives in total luxury. Like she doesn't have to do any of the. Okay, like the old dynamic back in the day was the man's the provider. Right. And then the woman takes care of the household.
And the kid.
But then the household's taken care of by paid people who are paid. So all she really has to do is kind of keep an eye on the kid, but even then she can outsource that to like nannies or whatever.
She's got a maid.
She does.
She's got a maid. So I think part of her maybe, I don't really think this is a little tongue in cheek, but it's like part of her is like, I can't rock the boat too much. Or else.
Well, and it's like what is left as a old school wife role. I'm there to support my man.
Yeah. Right. But Adrian's the best. She supports Rocky, rich or poor.
Rocky?
Yeah.
No, it's me, Apollo. We better hope it's Rocky who walked in your house at midnight. Yeah.
You all right?
Yeah.
So again, she asks him, "Are you all right?" So I guess within their marriage, she knows Rocky is a complete dedicated to Adrian to the degree of like he would never step out on her full round or anything like that. So she's just like, "You've come home late. So are you all right? You're home late, but what's the reason?" She would know Rocky would have an innocent reason, like / he's probably is upset about something or something went wrong. So she's going, "No, are you all right?"
I'm going to tell you how this would actually happen in marriage. She'd be in bed or something like that, and he'd come in. She'd be ignoring him, and then he'd be like, "Hey, Adrian, are you awake?" She's like, "Mm-hmm." And then he'd be like, "How do you feel about all this?" And she's like, "Fine, I feel fine. You just do whatever you want. You go fight and whatever."
I would say, apparently it doesn't matter what I think.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what I think. I'm surprised you're even asking me now. It's a little late for that, don't you think?
Yep. I do also want to point out, as my job, as the lady here, Rocky looks okay. This is just a hot look, just for men out there.
Shirt and tie?
This is with the tie loosened and the sleeves rolled up. We like that a lot. Like if you're a muscular man.
Oh, that's the key. Okay, well,
like that's a hot, like Stabler on SVU. He always had that look. We like it.
Okay, noted.
Why'd you do it?
So she knows. Why'd you do it?
I just got to do what I got to do.
You don't have to do anything.
And that's a great comeback. She's like, "Yeah, but you don't have to do anything. Like you're saying you're doing this thing because you have to do it." But she's like, "No, you don't have to do anything. You actually don't have to do this thing."
Hey, Rocky, thanks a lot for talking to me about this before you made the decision. As your spouse, I really appreciate that. It's good that we're working together as a team here instead of me just finding out from the press later on and then you coming home at midnight. Good job, buddy.
Well, home team doesn't come into play until the next movie.
It's true. That's true. Part 5. And it's actually mentioned again in part 6. We often forget that the term home team is mentioned in the 6th
Oh,
part.
is it? I forgot.
Home team, that is, as much as I am a Rocky 5 apologist, home team is something I could have gone without.
I love how they mentioned it in the 6th. So to give Sly some credit, he gave a nod to the 5th film. So I like that. Okay, here we go with more of this discussion.
No, you're not doing. I gotta leave this place too.
So where are you going?
They said they're gonna let me train in Russia. And I just want to go someplace where I ain't gonna think about nothing except him.
2 things I want to bring up here. First, she says, "Why'd you do it?" What is she asking when she says that? How much does she know? Because now she's like, that was all at the press conference, the whole idea of him going to Russia. So I'm just kind of.
She didn't watch the press conference. She took.
So what's she asking? So when I say it, what is it to Adrian when she asks the question? Why'd you do
taking the fight?
They didn't say in the press conference that he's training in Russia. They just said he's fighting.
Sure, the training part, but he's still going. Whether he's training or fighting there, I guess is irrelevant.
Well, it's a big deal because he leaves like training, like fighting. He could show up like say a week before the fight, 5 days, whatever, however long it takes for jet lag. But training, he's gone for months.
Or weeks. So I guess she's just saying, why'd you do it? The fight in Russia. But now he's also saying, I'm going to train there as well. So I'll be gone longer. Okay.
He also doesn't explain why he's doing it.
He says something here, and I want to ask you a question. And I'm not saying I have an answer. Don't go at me with any conspiracy theories. I actually don't know. There's 2 things Sly did kind of incorrectly here. Call them in English language, we call them misplaced modifiers, or they're called modifiers. So the word "it" is a modifier. It's telling us something. So that's what I mean. What is Adrian referring to when she says, "Why'd you do it?" We don't know what the "it" could encompass. Does it encompass the trip to Russia, the training? I'm going to move past the "it" because there's more coming. There's another modifier coming and I want you to tell me who Rocky's referring to.
Why'd you do it?
So why'd you take the fight with Drago? I get it. Why'd you take the
I
fight?
just
That's
gotta
fair.
do what I gotta do.
You don't have to do anything.
No, Adrian, I do, and I gotta leave this place, too.
So where are you going?
They said they're gonna let me train in Russia, and I just wanna go someplace where I ain't gonna think about nothing except him.
This is my question. You could argue both things. Is the him Apollo or is the him Drago? We know that he's taken the fight to avenge Apollo's passing. So that's the main catalyst for this whole journey, is that Apollo is dead. You could argue is the fuel, the him is a fuel. Because he says, I'm going there. I ain't going to think about nothing except for him. So when I'm training, I'm focused on Drago, or I'm focused on my fuel for fighting Drago, the loss of my friend, which is the whole scene coming up next with the soundtrack and the singing and the memories of Apollo. I bet you if you had a debate team, you could argue both points. Is he referring to, I'm going to think nothing about Apollo and avenging him, or nothing about beating the crap out of Drago? So who is the him? Is it Drago or Apollo?
I'm going to say Drago, and here's why. Because he says accept him. You're right that Apollo's passing is the fuel, but that would be it, not him.
Yeah, you could argue that.
On a very technical level, him could be literally any male. Apollo is technically possible, but I don't think that makes sense. He doesn't actually mention that he's fighting for Apollo. We infer that. It does kind of come up in the Creed films that he feels guilty for not throwing the towel, but we don't know that here. If he's going to think about Apollo, why not go back to Tough Gym and train? Go somewhere like that. This is Apollo's area where I can focus on Apollo.
Cut down trees. He has to cut down trees. You can't
Going to Russia makes more sense if you want to think about the Russian that you're fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's technically possible that him is Apollo. I think it's so unlikely.
It is unlikely. I actually would love to hear Sly, but Rocky, the character, it'd be kind of cool to hear him say, I ain't going to think nothing except for Drago. I think that would have been a cool...
I actually kind of like the way it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't like this scene in the sense that he doesn't actually talk about why. This is not a real conversation.
Yeah, he does. He'll come up later. He says, because you married a fighter. That's why.
Yeah, that is weird. There are some things about this conversation that it's like, that's
a horrible scene.
Like, I got to do what I got to do. I would love to hear him say stuff like, I was just standing there. I should have thrown the towel. Like, he's dead because of me. Mm-hmm. He killed this person that means a lot to me. Like, I can't just let that go. And the actual reasons for why he wants to do it. But instead, he's kind of like,
I'm a man.
Do what I gotta do. But on the other hand, am I wanting Rocky to be someone who he is not? That is kind of something Rocky would say. Like, Rocky's not good at talking about his emotions. He's not good at talking about why he feels the way he does. Their conversation on the beach was like that. Adrian got it out of him that he was afraid. It took some work. It took some back and forth. It had some passion. Like, that beach conversation was great. To me, that's like a real marriage kind of fight discussion. This staircase thing is so cold, and she's like, "Oh, where are you going? And why are you doing this?" Like, it's not Beach Adrian. Like, Beach Adrian's so much better than this Adrian.
Well, I think it is supposed to. Cold is a great point, Kyle, and it is. This is showing a rift between them, and then that helps when she shows up later.
Yeah, it's true. It's like maybe you go past a point of no return, where it's like you're past being upset about something to the point where you're just dissociative instead.
Yeah. Do they try and correct it? We'll find out. I feel like they tried to correct some of what is bothersome to us in this scene in the director's cut.
I don't think so. No, they just take a lot out. We'll get to that very quickly. Yeah, I guess maybe this is my second round through the films. Maybe I'm digging deeper. I don't know. I think it's Drago too, but I don't know why. Again, I don't look for these things to come naturally to me. The fact that my brain went to, who is him? Why would I think that unless something came to my brain to make me think it? I didn't choose to think it. It just came to me like, oh, it's kind of unclear. Are we focused on the avenging Apollo? So I ain't going to think nothing except for him. So I'm not going to think about my family or Apollo. I'm just going to both think about kicking the crap out of Drago because Apollo died, I guess. But you're right too. That was never really. He never really verbalized, I'm doing this because Apollo's dead. It's never really verbalized, even though Tony talks about Apollo in the barn. But Rocky.
That's why he corrects it in Creed, I think.
Yeah, good point. But yeah, we don't really hear Rocky talk about it. But you could argue, yes, it's too painful, blah, blah, blah. The whole car scene with the Lamborghini, kind of Robert Tepper's song coming up. that is him thinking about Apollo. So it's in his head.
Yes, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Great point, Ryan.
Yeah, I didn't think about that, but yeah, the car scene does kind of tell you without saying words
that it's in his head.
Apollo's on his mind. And Apollo dying is on his mind.
Yeah.
Rocky, give it some time. Don't do this. A lot of people live with hurt.
Adrian, a lot of people don't have a choice. I do.
And for that, you're willing to lose everything?
So he's kind of right. He's just saying a lot of people live with hurt or pain. True, Adrian, they do. But Rocky's saying, I have options. I have this hurt and pain, but I actually have the option in his worldview to do something about it, which is to fight Drago. So he's saying I actually have the ability to do it. Let's say his arms are broken right now from a skiing accident. He couldn't do it. He wouldn't be having to fight Drago. But he's saying I have the capability to fight the guy. You might not agree with this is how I'm going to deal with it, but I have the choice, and the choice is I want to take this guy on.
Well, I believe Adrian says what I'm thinking, and that is, even if you win.
Oh, that's coming too. She's right. That's also a good
she's
point
totally
too.
right.
Yeah.
But this next bit is, I'm curious to see what you guys think of it, because she essentially, they reverse the beach scene conversation about having stuff, losing everything.
But you're right.
This ain't everything.
This ain't everything.
This house and the cars and all the stuff we got. That ain't everything.
It's literally the opposite.
What the fuck are you talking about, Rocky? Like, she doesn't mean the house. You're not losing the house because you're going to Russia. No, you're going to lose the house for other reasons. But
well, actually, they are going to. Funny enough, they are losing the house because if he never went to Russia, they wouldn't have to get that power of attorney.
Man, he would have got
tax exemption.
No, this fraud's been going on longer than the fraud's already been happening. Like, for example,
are you sure? I thought
no.
I'll give you a reason why. Now,
sorry, Katie, are you with Kyle on this?
No, the fraud happened when they went to Russia.
My understand. No, I don't understand money stuff. I really don't. But as a viewer of the film,
actually, no, you are right. You're right.
The whole premise was a tax extension because he wasn't there.
Tax extension. They weren't around to do it. So somehow Paulie was able to give power of attorney, which is weird.
Even though he was in Russia too.
The reason I'm saying this, is because
why did power of extension ever come from Paulie? That'd be like my brother-in-law.
Okay,
somehow give power of attorney for my house on behalf of me and my wife.
No. Paulie is the mailman, basically. I'm going to talk about this in the next podcast, but this is not Paulie's fault at all. He is fucking innocent. I'm just going to say, though, Paulie had nothing to do with the document. It just went from Paulie's hand to Rocky's hand. It was a power of attorney that Rocky signed, and he didn't read it. He thought it was a tax extension.
Mm-hmm.
We need to get an actual financial professional, like somebody who deals in tax extensions, and just to watch that scene and say, can you decipher what are they talking about? Who's at fault?
That's me. I work in finance and stuff.
Kyle's like, hello.
Okay. Sorry, Kyle. Sorry. All right.
But anyway, I think Rocky's response is asinine. So she's like, are you willing to lose everything? He's like, this house, this thing isn't everything. She's not talking about your goddamn house. No. She's talking about you coming home in a pine box, bro.
Same in 3, though. She says that, and that's not what he was talking about either. It's it's weird that it's brought up twice in a
for this big pivotal type scenes, but both the husband and wife are bringing up the cars, the house, and everything.
Yeah.
It's a lot more than this, Adrian.
Before, there were reasons to fight I could understand, but I don't understand this. Even if you win, what have you won? Apollo's still gone. Why can't you change your thinking? Everybody else does.
That's weird.
Rocky has, throughout his growth as a character, has changed his way of thinking. I mean, again, it is an odd comment. If this was a real fight, if you were to watch this like a fly on the wall of a husband and wife fighting, this is where I love Sly, but sometimes his dialogue has always been clunky. It doesn't really segue very well. Why Adrian says that, it doesn't quite make sense. The first part is like, hey, before when you said you wanted to fight, or Paul wanted to fight because he felt to feel alive again and get back in the ring, it's what he loved to do. She goes, even though it's dangerous, I kind of understand that you guys were warriors for so long, or boxers, that's your life. I can understand that. I get it. You guys want to throw fists still at an older age, but now she's saying, of course, if you beat him, great, you beat him, but Paul's still dead, and you still have to get over that death, and you're putting yourself at risk for something that can't change. Great, Drago's on the canvas, knocked out, yay, Rocky. But then she says, why can't you change your way of thinking?
Yeah, I don't
Everybody
like
else
that.
does. That's
Everybody
Well,
else
who's
does.
everyone else? What are you talking
exactly.
about?
No, the better.
Polly?
Yeah.
What she would have more naturally said was something like, "Get it through your thick skull," or something
actually,
like that.
I think what she means by change your thinking is everyone else thinks this is stupid. Like this is suicide.
Oh yeah,
Like I don't think anyone thinks Rocky's going to beat Drago.
The word doesn't make sense. I get
do
what
you
you're
mean?
saying.
Like, or
It should be everyone else
did?
has, or
everyone else
has.
sees it. Everyone else sees what is.
No, just change the word "does" to "has," or
I guess
did.
everyone else is capable of changing their thinking, like in general.
If she's talking about regarding this fight, she should just say, "Why can't you change your way of thinking? Everybody else has." Meaning, Polly has regarding this, or Tony, who is again who? Sorry,
Who's everybody?
Exactly, who is everybody? What is she talking about? The world population is humans, or the camp,
it's
or family?
a weird. That was
I don't
not
think
good.
Tony took much convincing. There's no evidence he was ever against this.
He's
like, let's do this, man. Even though we lost one fighter, Tony's like, this is going to happen. Tony's always believed in Rocky, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like from the first time he saw him punching meat on TV, Tony's always been respectful of how dangerous Rocky is. So I think if anyone believes that Rocky could beat Drago, it's Tony.
Agreed.
So clunky writing. Who is the everybody? Is it the world, or is it just Rocky's family and camp? We don't know, because Adrian then says "does" instead of "has." So "does" means it's an ongoing thing. So the world can change their mind. Everyone in the world does, but Rocky, which is an asinine. Speaking of asinine, that's also an asinine comment, because you're saying, well, of course, there's stubborn people in the world. The lump Rocky is the one person in the world who doesn't change their mind about how life works.
He was probably thinking, I'm going to write this in here now, and then later, I'm going to say, if I can change and you can change it, everybody can.
Well, that's why it was written, Katie. See, again, we know why it was written. That's not the point. The point is we're watching a natural conversation between two adults.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. In the realm of the movie, it works because he realizes, because you'll see in the end sequence when he gives that big speech, Adrian kind of does like a, oh, that's my husband. She does like a really like, he remembers the stair scene. Like you'll see her like really. Yeah. Anyways,
personally, I don't have a lot of respect for the mindset of you are what your work is, and I know people have differences on that, especially if you do something that's really altruistic or really helps a lot of people.
Yeah, I don't do that.
Like it bothers me that you're willing to like, he's like, oh, I'm a fighter. This is what I do. This is what I am.
Sure.
I'm gonna risk my child not having a dad anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to risk my marriage. I'm going to risk my family. You know what I mean? The idea that, oh, this is I box, this is what I do, and that this defines me. I don't respect that at all. This stage in my life, I look at this fight and I'm like 110% on Adrian's side here.
Oh, for sure. And it's a little, I mean, as humans, I guess we can go back and forth, but in Rocky 2, he's like, well, before I could do anything I wanted because it was just me. But now I got you, I got the kid. Well, he still has her and the kid. So now it's different.
Yeah, I don't want to lose what I got. You
Yeah.
see, that was something he said that wasn't true. We find out the real reason he was afraid. But that's actually a great reason.
Yeah.
Like, too bad he actually didn't feel that way.
Okay, good stuff, guys. Boy, this is good. I don't think we're gonna get much further than the.
There's a lot in the stair.
There is a lot to discuss, especially when we get to the director's cut. You'll see.
Because I'm a fighter.
I'm a fighter.
That's the way I'm made, Adrian.
There you go, Cal. That's the way I'm made.
That's what you married. We can't change what we are.
There's some truth to that. I'll argue some things that Rocky's saying here, meaning it's an uphill battle. A lot of who we are, it's who we are. And look, we can get better. We can get more patient or more kind or more skilled at a trade. Or like, yes, this gets into a whole discussion of free will, which is a fascinating discussion. For example, let's say I do take up a hobby. Podcasting is just a silly hobby for me. Nobody cares about my show. Nobody watches, but I like it. It's fun. And I've gotten better at it. But the fact that I decided to do a podcast show and shows and then kind of get better at it, is that a choice or is that just something that I did? You know, what I mean by this is like, that's who I am. That's what I decided to do. Of all the hobbies I picked, why did I pick podcasting? It's not like I investigated all the hobbies of the world and chose podcasting. Like every single option wasn't presented to me. I just chose podcasting. So what I'm getting at to some degree, it's a silly example. What I'm saying is we're all built at the age of whatever they say your personality is formed at 5 or whatever it is. Of course, you learn and you grow, but Rocky is Rocky. Adrian is Adrian. Kyle's Kyle. Like, you guys probably aren't that much different. If I was to meet Kyle 25 years ago, I'd probably recognize Kyle.
Yeah, sure.
If you met 25-year-old Ryan, what you'd see is my personality pretty much the same as it is now.
Convictions and things like that. Yeah.
But within a 25-year-old persona, like, I'd be young, I'd be naive about things because I didn't. But my persona, who I am, not what I know,
Or
not what I've learned, but who I am is still Ryan. You wouldn't be confused by Ryan.
He's right. He's like, you knew me when you married me,
right?
And we're married.
That's what he's saying. I'm a fighter. This is what I know. It's what I do. So he's not wrong, but he says you can't change it. That's obviously, again, it's a very
you can't change anything. It's the stupidest statement here.
In actuality, we kind of see the same fight in different forms happen in the last 3 films. You have the fight in Rocky 2 where he doesn't want to be, he's like, I'm not meant to work at a meat plant. I'm not meant to sweep floors. I'm not meant to be on commercials. I'm meant to fight. It is who I am. Eventually, Adrian comes on board. You have the fight in the second film where it's a little bit the opposite, but they have to get on the same page with him fighting and they have to become a team with that. The third fight really is like the second. The fight in Rocky 4 is a lot like Rocky 2 in the sense where he's like, well, I'm a fighter. This is who I am. It's just like a more high stakes version of the second Apollo fight, where instead of she's worried about him going blind, she's worried about him getting killed. And he's just like, I'm doing it anyways. Mm-hmm. You'll get on board. And she does. She had to be in a coma, but then she wakes up from the coma and she's like, win, Rocky. Rocky, he knows how to negotiate in the sense where he's just like, oh, I'm doing it. And then
it's up to her to get on board. And here she can't. I think that he's pushed her past her threshold. And she's like, I can't do this.
Yeah, it's weird. And I'm trying to be more sympathetic to Rocky because I've been really hard on him here. And it's like, okay, well, if I didn't throw the towel and I was feeling all these things, would I want to get revenge on Drago? Yeah, I would. I could see myself saying, well, I'm going to win or lose, I'm going to fight this guy. Because it's like you're in your raw emotional state. It's like an emotional reaction. In these cases, it's like what your partner should be telling you is when you're talking to them before you take this fight, they say, look, if you want to take it. But I want you to wait X amount of time to cool down. And if you still want to fight him, we'll talk about that. But don't make a decision hastily like this based on emotion.
Mm-hmm.
All right, good stuff, guys. I love it. Can't change anything, Adrian. Yeah.
Can't change anything, Adrian. All we can do is just go with what we are.
You can't go with what you are. Have you read the papers?
Okay, so again, great point by Rocky to a degree. He's saying it's who I am. Like, he's not going to become a school teacher overnight. Like, he is who he is. He's a fighter. That's what he is. He's 40-something now. But again, a broad statement just saying this is the train I'm on. This is the locomotive train. I'm going full speed ahead with this. This is who I am. But she's saying it kind of very quickly here. She's like, fine, you can't change who you are. Well, have you read the papers of what they're saying about this fight? Which is interesting because she's talking about the papers, talking about the fight. Now, are these papers talking about speculating if Rocky takes the fight, or how much time has passed?
I suppose so. Because it makes it seem like he comes home the night of the press conference.
That's right.
Yeah.
You have no reason to believe otherwise, even though technically it could be different. But it's like, you think they would have spoken? No, it has to be this because, they would have had this convetion already if time had gone by, if days had gone by.
It's the night of the press conference.
It's the night of the press conference, yes. And this is what I mean about the timeline. Even the timeline of the Rocky universe with the newspaper articles don't make sense. So yes, we have to lead to believe you're right. They're saying if Rocky does indeed take the fight against Drago, this is what we could expect to happen: is that he will lose.
But even if that weren't the case, it's just that Drago is unbeatable. Like, even if they weren't speculating about Rocky, we've just now seen him kill a man. You've seen it? The papers are all saying he's an unbeatable person.
Well, she says you can't win, so I think it's directed at him that you're the. Well,
next I think she's just saying it could also mean no one can win.
No one could win. That anyone that fights Drago will die or be killed or mutilated.
Isn't it funny though? The man who just died made the argument that we are born with this killer instinct. You can't turn on and off like a radio. Basically, we are who we are. We have to fight. I'm doing this no matter what. And then he dies. And then your argument to Adrian is, hey, I'm a fighter. I got to do this no matter what. you're following his footsteps. Like the only reason you didn't get killed is because, well, it's because it's a movie, but because you're a better fighter. You did what it took to beat Drago. But even then, we find that Rocky gets brain damage from this fight. Or this fight, maybe it was the straw that broke the camel's back or whatever. This fight does cause permanent damage. It does cause a lot of problems.
He talks very normal here in the part 5. Just a month later, he talks like a full R word.
And it's like, well, even let's say you win Drago. Let's say Drago's a shill, and he actually goes down quite easy, and you don't get hurt. What now? You can't be a fighter forever. You're not going to be 65.
You gotta fight a robot.
Yeah, we argued that when Apollo was saying it. We're like, listen, dude.
You got to have an exit plan, bro. You got to make more of your life than just your work. And that's actually like a real thing with people who retire. A lot of people go into depression when they retire, especially if you make your work your life. And if that's how you define yourself, through your job, when you stop working, what meaning do you have in your life anymore? Like, I'm not saying you shouldn't.
I can't wait to have no meaning. I can't wait.
I'm not saying you shouldn't care about your work or be involved in your work or have the work define part of who you are. But it's like you need to have something going on outside of your job.
I feel like empty nesters have that too. It's like your life revolves around your kids, and then they're not there, and you're like, what do I do with myself now?
I can't wait.
Okay, I say that because my kids drive me nuts. I feel like I have to work 7 days a week all the time.
Yeah,
like
that sounds awful.
It is so much. It is so much work having kids.
Okay,
Ryan works harder than me because he has more kids than I do. He had twins. That's a ton of work. Ryan knows more than I do about this. And then it's like I get some time away from the kids rarely. I've had like a couple days away from them.
Younger. Yours are younger. It'll come. How old are your kids right now?
11 and 4.
Yeah.
Your 4-year-old's your problem. Your 11-year-old probably doesn't bug you.
Honestly, the 4-year-old's the problem.
Yeah, I'm being honest. Like right now, my youngest they just turned 10 actually last weekend when I got sick. Thankfully, it was right after their birthday party. But the twins turned 10. Right now, they're in the house. Becky's out. She's at the gym. And I'm recording. The kids they're at the age where I don't even have to do anything.
I respect that. I respect that.
There you go.
The point I'm trying to make, though, is when I get time away from them, like sometimes they'll be camping with their grandparents or something like that, and there's a couple days away. I get the house clean finally, which never happens because these mess it up so quickly. I miss them.
Of course you do.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like all this other time, I'm like, get out of my house, leave. I just want some peace and quiet. I just want some me time. And then it's like, you have this Stockholm syndrome. And you're like,
Stockholm syndrome.
Come back. I miss you.
Yeah.
That's how I'm with the dogs too. Like when they're annoying to me a lot of the time. Like, God, just leave me alone. And then they're gone for a day at the groomer. And I'm like, oh.
That's the conundrum of anything. We're social creatures, but we also need our own time. It goes both ways. And I have
absence makes the heart grow stronger, eh?
It's true. And I have adult children who are almost 26 and 24-year-old sons. And, there's times I see photos of them on Facebook, and memories will come up when they're, 10-year-olds and stuff.
Aww.
And whenever Facebook started back then, I'll see the memories of them. And like, of course, I miss that when I was everything in their world. But it's the natural order of things. They both have wives now, and they're having their own life. Daddy time is over. It's a special time, so embrace it when it happens, Kyle. But it's okay when they become adults. You're always going to be a special part of their life.
Grandkids, man.
Oh, they're coming.
You get to relive the little kid, awesome baby days without fucking grind, man. Like no wonder grandparents love their grandkids so much.
Of course. They're right, because we raised the kids, and now we get to enjoy kids without raising them.
That's the dividend of children, man. The dividend of children.
It's like puppies.
Pays way later.
Puppies while taking care of the dog.
Yeah. A puppy visiting
That's a good analogy.
Is the best. And then it's like it can go take shits in someone else's house after.
You get to play. Yeah, you play with the puppy, get the licks and kisses, play with the puppy, pat its head, and then you're like, oh, the puppy
gets done. Do the hell out of someone else's shoes, not mine, but I still get to pet it and play with it.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yes.
Oh, she's about to do the big. Of course, the big reveal. But as much as we've been hacking on the scene a little bit or dissecting it, which is what we do on the show, I will say Adrian or Talia Shire and Adrian's character and Talia Shire's delivery here of this part is spot on.
Yeah, so I love Adrian.
Her desperation, because what she's saying here is this does not break the Adrian code, because as Rocky says, Adrian always tells the truth, which is a very interesting statement of itself. But the idea here is Adrian's saying, like, look, at the end of the day, what are you doing here? You can't win at suicide because she's desperate. This is her husband. She's trying everything she can to stop this from happening.
Do you know what everybody says? It's suicide. You've seen him. You know how strong he is. You can't win.
And then, of course, Rocky looks at her. It's funny how she says it's suicide. He doesn't look at her. But the moment she says you can't win, they're like, what? But I'm Rocky.
There is something primal about being a man and having your wife tell you another man is stronger than you, and there's like something that hits a chord with a lot of men where it's like they would not want to even
have your wife verbalize it. It's true. A lot of men could kick my butt, but have my wife just point that out. Hey, that guy over there could beat me up, honey. Like, thanks, honey. Yes, thanks for letting me know that guy can beat me up.
But yeah, his head swivels around real.
And he's a fighter. Mm-hmm. And he's a fighter. So there you go. He's attacked. For me, if my wife really said that, I'd be like, whatever. Yes, I'm not a fighter. So there's a lot of guys that could beat me up because I don't throw fists with anybody. So that's probably very common. But for a fighter to hear that, like, oh, that's who that's his identity. So for her to say that your very identity is, okay, fine. You're saying you're a fighter. That's who you marry. Well, I'm telling you, this fighter can't beat this guy. Mm-hmm. So that's gonna sting that much more. It's like if you told me, Ryan, you can't cook filet mignon. Okay. I'm not a chef. So that wouldn't sting me. That wouldn't hurt my pride because I don't proclaim to be a chef. It's not who I am. It's not who you married, honey. You didn't marry a cook. So the fact that she says you can't win, and I married a fighter, and this guy can't beat this guy. So yeah.
Adrian always tells the truth.
Aww.
No, maybe I can't win. Maybe the only thing I can do is just take everything he's got. But the baby, he's going to have to kill me.
I don't know if that's the best thing to say there.
The music, I kind of forgot how spectacular the music is here. It's nice. The lighting, I love that it remains dark and shadowy.
Not the best thing to say to this poor. She just finished saying it's suicide. So he's like, yeah, you're right. For him to beat me, he is going to have to kill me. All right, honey, have a good day.
Man, like this is sorry. I'm just getting really upset at this. I forgot how much I dislike this. I'm sorry, Baz. I know you really like this scene. What are you doing? Like you're like, I'm willing to go in a fight to the death battle with him, where I kill him or he kills me.
They're breaking it down. He's not trying to appease her anymore. Like, I actually like it because when he says, oh, Adrian tells the truth, she hears that and she's like, I know I just hurt him. But they finally broke down the wall and they're having an honest conversation. He's like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you're right, but I'm still doing it.
Yeah. Like but he's like, we've cut through the bullshit now. I'm a fighter. He's like, yeah, I don't know. I guess I like it because they're not trying to tiptoe around anything anymore. And it's just like, yeah.
Yes, it's not like Rocky 3 where she has to break him down to tell the truth. Everything is just thrown out there. Everyone means everything they say. Even if that doesn't make sense, they still sincerely mean it. You don't have to dig to find the truth. So that's good. It bothers me that that's true to Rocky, that he thinks it's okay to step into a ring where it's able to beat me, to be willing to. I'm not going to have Tony throw in the towel. I'm going there and I'm fighting, and it's like I either beat him or he kills me.
The fact that he would do that is what you don't like. Not that
the fact that he believes that, the fact that he's telling you, the fact that he could just say that unapologetically, is a family person. That's one of my values, is being there for my children, being there for my wife. That's my primary purpose in life. So to me, this is just insane. The fact that you'd try and do this.
Well, it is, but they're both saying things. They're from a conversational standpoint. They're both saying things that they know will hurt the other one by saying it, but it's honest.
Yeah, like it isn't a long, drawn out fight where they were. Yeah, I get it. Like they're not saying bullshit, but it's just.
But Rocky, why?
I guess it bothers me that like I usually in my life, if I get in a fight with my partner, it may take a day or two, but we'll come to some sort of resolution, right? Where it doesn't seem like they're doing that here. Like it just seems like, okay, well, we just put our cards on the table and they're pretty nasty cards. Now it's done.
The director's cut, they do kind of have a little bit of a resolution though, right, Ryan?
Yes and no. Are you talking about before he goes to the car?
Mm-hmm.
So I watched it today. We won't get to today, of course, but I watched it today, and yes and no. That'll be next episode for sure, because we're going to do the director's cut version of the stair scene. Not much more to add, but there's a little bit to add, and then we'll do our trivia, and then. So, and it goes on to explain to kill and to kill me. So I love how he says, to beat me, he's going to have to kill me, and this is how he's going to have to. So this is the process of the murder. Sorry, I love how he breaks down the killing process here,
and he says he has to be willing to die himself,
which is an odd caveat. Yeah, but
but that's what makes it matter. Like that fact is why Rocky's doing it.
I don't know what that means. So
no, he just means it's two warriors going in. We're both willing to die for this.
This is a fight to the death, or not to the death necessarily, but this is no holds barred.
So Rocky is saying, well, we know what he says here. We've all seen this movie 100 times, but he's saying, yes, for him to do that, he's got to be willing to die himself. Okay, but Drago killed Apollo. So are you saying that during that fight, Drago was willing to die himself? That's why he was able to kill Apollo?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's what I don't understand is why does Drago have to be willing to die himself in order to kill Rocky?
He does not. That maybe is some misplaced confidence on Rocky's side.
Yeah, you guys do have a point. I guess the way I'm allowing it is different this time. That was just an exhibition. And we see, and now I guess the Russians know because he's not taking any money. Like they're like, oh, he means this isn't just a fight to Rocky.
You could say that yes, Rocky's going to come in full steam, pissed off. If they're professional trainers, any professional trainer would say, look, we know Apollo took it lightly. We saw him dance. We know Apollo's character enough to know that he was a bit of a showboat. Fine. Rocky's coming in pissed off and angry. We got to take him a little bit more seriously. So, Drago, if you intend on killing him in the ring too, you got to be willing to die yourself. I guess that's the, I guess.
Yeah. If I was Drago's trainers, though, I'd be concerned. I'd still think that Drago would win, but
sure.
Yeah, Drago's not fucking around.
No,
he's taking lots of roids still, and he's training hard, and he wants it pretty bad, both on a personal level and because he has to. But I don't think Drago has any conception in his mind that he's going to get killed in the ring.
Yeah, you're right. He does not have the genetics to it.
Yes. Tiny little man. Okay, but here we go. Here's Rocky's explanation of how Drago has to kill him.
He's going to have the heart to stand in front of me. And to do that,
sorry, this is one of the worst written dialogue Sly has ever done. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Check this out. Think about what he's really saying here. In order for him to beat me, he's going to have the heart to stand in front of me. And what kind of heart does he have to have? Well, I got another condition that we have to put on the heart now. And to do that, he has to be willing to die himself. So he has to have the heart to stand in front of me, and that heart has to be willing to stop beating. Is essentially, I don't know what that means.
No, the heart is like you see heart used in the Rocky universe.
Yeah,
I know, but I just love how Drago has. Anyways, okay.
Yeah, Rocky's saying that like in order to stand in front of me, you risk death, which I think is a little bit like
Rocky's saying that Drago has to be like Rocky,
which is bullshit. This dialogue sucks.
I think you guys are missing out on the fact that it doesn't matter what he says because look at him. He's so pretty.
Yeah. I've been on the opposite side of this, or it's like there's like a female character on a show and stuff, and I'm like, oh, I really like her and stuff. And my wife's just whatever. Like she's like your perception is being skewed a bit by other factors.
He looks like this shot is great.
Yeah, well, wanting to someone really goes a long way, and
yeah.
He's got to be willing to die himself. I don't know if he's ready to do that. I don't know.
So I don't know if he's ready to do that. So what is the outcome of the match, Rocky? I'm confused. This is what I'm confused about.
Yeah,
so let's say Drago doesn't have the very things you said. Because you just finished saying this is the contingency that you need to beat him, that he's got to be willing to die himself. But I don't know if Drago's ready to do that. So are you going to lose? He's put these conditions on Drago.
The dialogue
he's like trying to sound really dramatic here.
Yeah.
And
the character or Sly?
Sly is trying to sound really, really dramatic when he's writing this for his character here. It doesn't come across well in today's day and age. And maybe in the 80s it's different. I've seen some of this in other 80s stuff too. Some of this dramatic stuff, and it's just I don't know. I'm not like an 80s expert. I was too young to really appreciate stuff. But I don't know. It sucks. I'm sorry. It sucks. I bias towards Rocky 4s and I don't like it, but he's
busy
sucks.
with Brigitte right now, and he's like, "Oh, hang on, babe. I gotta rewrite the script real quick."
Yeah, and I guess at this stage too, no one's gonna question it. I don't think Sly's the man. This is a problem when you become so successful. It's like you get surrounded by yes men.
That's why Rocket 5 is a better film. I think there's better dialogue.
Yeah.
I think the dialogue is better written. Like,
Oh,
and so I
100%.
wrote that dialogue in part 5. So I think he did better family drama dialogue in part 5 for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, and as mean as I am to Sly here, I can't write a Rocky film. Like, it's easy for me to criticize him and to give him shit here. And that's the thing, old critics, is it's like a lot of sports critics couldn't play sports the way these guys
Well,
do.
no,
They need to have a level. A lot of like music critics couldn't produce music like that, right? So it's like it's easy to be a critic. It's hard to be a creator. So in that sense, it's like I still respect Sly for what he's done here.
Critics are just audiences with a voice. When you're a public performer, you're performing to the audience, but then I have to have an opinion on it, and I've just verbalized it. So you're right. Being a critic doesn't mean you have to do the thing, but don't perform in front of me if you don't want to hear my opinion.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're critiquing it on purpose. We're nitpicking things. It's definitely not a perfect movie like the original Rocky was, but it's so enjoyable.
Oh, I love this. I love this film or this movie. It's not really a film. It's a movie. It's a popcorn movie. It's a lot of fun. It's easy to watch. It goes down easy.
And to any doubters here, contrast this scene to the scene in Rocky 1 when he gets back from talking to Juergens at the Spectrum late at night and sits down in the bed. And he's like, all I want to do is go the distance. No one's ever gone that distance at Creed before. And if I could do that, I'll know I'm not another bum from the neighborhood. That is brilliant dialogue. That gives a clear reason why you're doing this, makes things realistic and in perspective. Him and Adrian seem like a team there. Like, that is just, as the kids say today, chef's kiss. This is not that.
He took his eye off the ball and his eye is on Brigitte right now.
Yeah.
He's too mad to stay now. He did come home to stick around, but now he's got to listen to Robert Tepper and his Lamborghini. Well, we're not going to play it. We all know the song. We can't play it for the copyright stuff, blah, 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 the whole
It's
song.
one of my favorite scenes. It's my second favorite scene in the movie.
It's a great montage. So good. It's fun. Of course,
I love this montage. I like the music. And I like the choices they made for which scenes to show. I remember really liking this as a kid.
Yeah, he looks great, and he's pissed off. He's thinking about Apollo.
We see his
thinking about Drago.
Forearms.
He can actually drive now.
Yeah. He learned how to drive.
The car's not like lurching back and forth because he doesn't know how to clutch or whatever.
Again, we had a great time. Ruben and I interviewing Robert Tepper on our podcast back in the day. Yeah.
He's got that nice 5 o'clock shadow too that looks really good on him. In this.
Okay. So now we're going to go back to the director's scene about the stairs. And it's a much shorter scene too. Now, Kyle has not seen this, so I'm very curious to see Kyle's.
Rocky?
Yeah.
You all right?
Yeah. All right.
Why'd you do it?
I just gotta do what I gotta do.
You don't have to do anything.
No, you're not doing. I gotta leave this place too.
So where are you going?
They said they're gonna let me train in Russia. I just wanna go someplace where I ain't gonna think about nothing except him.
Rocky, give it some time. Don't do this. A lot of people live with hurt.
Adrian, a lot of people don't have a choice. I do.
And for that, you're willing to lose everything?
There you go. One big change there. No talk of everything. Cars, house.
Yeah.
So even Sly took that out, Kyle. He took it out.
I appreciate it, buddy.
Okay. So that was cut right out. Was anything else cut out? I feel like there's a couple of other things. But that was the big one there. So there's no talk about cars, everything. Okay, let's continue.
It's a lot more than this, Adrian.
But he doesn't talk about the cars.
Before there were reasons to fight, I could understand, but I don't understand this. Even if you win, Paul is still gone.
Now, that scene right there.
That's different. She says that differently, yeah.
Yeah. For our listeners, and I wanted to mention this scene is not in the original cut, but I really love Talia Shire's acting here. She composes herself. She says, Apollo's still gone, and that choked her up, mentioning that's still fresh in their memories that Apollo's dead. And she holds her hand to her mouth to compose herself, like to say the words, Apollo's still gone. It choked her up. I just want to go back. I just love how she did that, Talia.
Even if you win, Paul is still gone. Why can't you change your thinking? Everybody else does.
Because I'm a fighter.
Do you know what everybody says?
See, I'm a fighter. That's it. There's no, you can't change who we are. Nothing. That's all gone.
I think I was misremembering. I think this is better.
It's different. So I don't
Yeah,
think it's
no, you're
worse.
right. And I had said I think the original was better,
Oh.
and I think I was misremembering.
They've taken out a lot, or Sly took out a lot. He took out the there's more than this house. Then he took out you can't change who we are. Blah blah blah. I'm moving forward with who I am. Then she goes right into this is suicide. This is key coming up here.
That it's suicide. You've seen him. You know how strong he is. You can't win.
Different long hold.
Adrian always tells the truth. Now, maybe I can't.
That's it. Now he walks out.
That's way better.
He heard us.
Better.
He heard us, you guys.
Yeah, like I still don't super like it, but that's much better.
And then shows Adrian crying at the top of the stairs.
Yeah,
like, Adrian's crying at the top of the stairs there. We don't see that in the original.
The way he says, like, maybe I can. I don't know. That's Rocky. That's like the Rocky I remember.
Mm-hmm.
So the shot here of Adrian, this long shot of Adrian crying at the top of the stairs, watching Rocky as he leaves the house. It's all on Adrian. So we don't see Rocky leave. We just see her watching Rocky leave. She's crying. She's sad. She's hurt. Then she walks away. And now we go to the Lamborghini scene.
Oh, way better.
And it's interesting with this scene here, Kyle, you'll see that the flashbacks, I'll just show you. The only difference here is they're black and white.
Yeah, I don't like that. I like the color flashbacks. I do like the black and white montage at the end of Rocky 5, though.
Mm-hmm.
The Measure of a Man one. That one's cool. But for some reason, I don't know, color hit well with me in this. I don't mind black and white. Like, I don't think to me it's just a silly preference. I think both are fine though.
Now I will say this for a tease regarding that dialogue, Katie. Remember the whole sequence there where he says, Kyle, that it's not in the director's cut, where he says, in order for him to beat me, he's got to do all this stuff, da 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 da. It's been cut from that scene, but it's inserted later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Kyle's shaking his head. You'll see
just
where
when
it's
I
done.
thought it was safe.
Now, maybe you'll like where it's inserted, but it's an interesting. Yeah. So that's my teaser for you, Kyle, who has not seen the director's cut. The dialogue is placed later in the film in a certain sequence, and the question will be: is Rocky remembering the deleted scene, or is he thinking of the scene as right now in his head as we watch the scene? So we'll have that discussion. Okay, and now it's time for trivia. Let's go.
Okay, I got to get running soon.
Do you want to do the trivia or no?
Can we delay it till next time?
Yeah, we'll just save it at that. So yeah, we'll do the trivia next week, which will be the Drago lines in the film. So give ourselves another week. You can add to it. That's fine. As long as you don't cheat, that's totally fine. Kyle, have a good, happy Father's Day tomorrow to you.
You too, my friend.
Yes,
Katie,
both of you.
Dad.
I'm going to see my dad. Yeah. Yep.
Good. Okay. That's wonderful. And Rocky, I hope Rocky and Sly has a good Father's Day. I wonder if Sly is going to call his other son. Anyway, all right,
what
guys.
About Frank? Do you think Frank's going to call his son, or do you think Frank's son is going to call Frank?
They're not going to have a good Father's Day. Those two. All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for watching. This episode is over.
I didn't hear no bell.
I just want to